That's right, my friends, I am back from the dead, and if you've been wondering where I've been, I'll be putting together a little update video in the next couple days, sort of explaining the whole situation, but spoiler alert, I'm back and I'm here to stay. That being said, welcome to my most extensive guide yet. I think you guys are really going to like this, so let's get right into it because I can tell it's definitely going to be a long one. Just keep in mind though that while the main purpose of this video is to help beginner players, even if you're no stranger to the game but you're just not happy with the amount of money you're making, you might still learn something if you decide to stick around. So I've decided to break this guide into 5 different stages, as you can see here. Each stage will be dedicated to obtaining the funds for different property purchases that will unlock various content to be used in the next stage. If you're not brand new, there's timestamps to each stage in the description that will allow you to skip over parts that you may have already completed. So you just loaded into GTA Online and you have absolutely no idea where to start. Well, your first goal, and the goal of stage 1 in fact, is to get yourself a high-end apartment. The best thing to do right now is just go with the cheapest option, as you can always upgrade to something better in the later stages when making money is a little bit easier. Del Perro Heights is the cheapest high-end apartment at $200,000, and that's what we're going to be shooting for. The way I see it, there are 3 best options when it comes to making money in this stage. Number 1 being competitive modes. Stuff like racing, adversary modes, team deathmatches even, can get you quite a bit of cash. Something to keep in mind though is that if you're not always on the winning end, it's kinda gonna be a big waste of time. If you're anything like me and absolutely suck at any kind of competitive game, you're not gonna make very much at all. If you're one of those people though that are just naturally good at any game you get thrown into, it might even be your best option. There's even an entire betting system to mess around with. Something that I recommend more since it's a little bit more reliable are contact missions. I used to do these all the time in the early stages of GTA Online. Very quick, very simple, and pretty decent payouts for this stage of the game. Some are obviously better than others, and there are a ton to choose from. We'd be here all day if I went over all of them, so instead of doing that, I'm going to link a really awesome Reddit post in the description that lists which ones are best, how long it takes to do them, their payouts, and detailed walkthroughs of each. So be sure to check that out if you're looking to do these. Some contact missions can be done solo, which is great, but you'll get a higher payout always if you do them with friends. Also be sure to set the difficulty to hard when you do these because you earn 50% more money that way. Typically, you can kind of expect to make anywhere from $9,000 to $20,000 per mission, depending on these factors. Now let's talk about what is still my 100% favorite way to earn cash in this game. If you've been following this channel for a while, you know what I'm about to say. VIP fucking missions, alright? Why, you ask? Okay, first, they're fast, incredibly simple, and pay out $21,000 to $25,000 per mission, regardless of whether you're playing solo or with friends. They're done completely in free roam, so you don't even need to load into a lobby like you do with contact missions, and they can even be done in an invite-only session if you don't want anyone obstructing your progress. Obviously, you're going to need to register as a VIP in order to do these, and the only requirement to do that is to have $50,000 in your bank account. Now, you're not actually going to be spending this money at all, you just need to have it in your account. Your VIP registration will last 4 hours in real time, but will also have a 12-hour real-time cooldown, which kinda sucks, but in those 4 hours, you can easily make upwards of $500,000 if you commit to it. There's 2 VIP missions that I highly recommend, Headhunter and Sightseer. For Headhunter, 3 enemy targets show up on the map and you have to go kill them. It's as simple as that. If you're playing with friends, you guys can even split up and get this mission done incredibly fast. Sightseer is arguably even easier, but might require you to cover more ground. This mission requires you to complete a simple minigame on your phone and then reveals a package on the map that you need to go collect. The packages aren't even guarded, so you won't even have to draw a gun once in this mission. Collect 3 packages and you're done. It's literally too easy. A bonus VIP mission, if you just want some variety from the other 2, is called Hostile Takeover. This one pays a bit less, around $16,000, but it may be worth it considering it's extremely easy. All you have to do is pick a location on the map, go retrieve a package, which, be warned, is guarded this time, and deliver it to a drop-off location. The 2 locations that I find to be the easiest are LSIA and the Altruist Camp. There's a couple minute cooldown between each VIP mission you do, but you'll start making a fortune in no time, and will be able to buy that apartment and move on to stage 2 before you even know it. Now that you know the best ways to make cash in this stage, let's talk about some optional purchases that you can make to help you out along the way. The first thing you might consider getting is a garage. Now I mentioned earlier that if you buy an apartment, a 10-car garage is included, but if you can't wait for that, you can always purchase a standalone 2-car garage, with the cheapest being only $25,000. If you have one of these, it'll become your spawn point, but more importantly, you'll unlock the mechanic. The mechanic can be called on your phone and he will deliver one of your cars to you anywhere on the map. But you might be thinking, if I don't even have the cash for an apartment, I definitely can't afford a car, so why would I even need a garage? Well, you'd be surprised because there's actually a couple of vehicles that you can get absolutely free. If you've never played GTA Online before, unfortunately you're pretty much limited to one though, the Elgato RH8. This car's kind of become a little bit of a living meme in the community, but it's more than likely better than most of the cars that you can steal off the street, so go ahead and pick it up off Legendary Motorsports. However, if you're like me and are coming from a different system, Rockstar has quite a bit of free options for us returning players. We've got a couple of cars that were introduced in the Cunning Stunts update. These are all variants of cars that you'd normally have to buy, but the racing livery versions are available for free. You've also got a monster truck called the Marshall and a Dodo seaplane that you can grab at no charge. But guys, I saved the best for last. Check out the Duke o' Death on Warstock. This is a fully armored muscle car which provides the best protection and is incredibly useful during missions of any kind. In fact, for missions like Headhunter, like I mentioned before, you could simply just grab an SMG and shoot the targets without even leaving your car, and the armor will keep you just fine. If you're a returning player, you absolutely need this car, there's no exception. So you bought that high-end apartment, great, now where do you go from here? The goal of this stage is to get enough money to buy an office, which will then allow you to register as a CEO. The cheapest office you can buy is Maze Bank West, which costs $1 million, so that's what we're going to be shooting for here. Now keep in mind, when you do finally buy an office, the game is going to prompt you to buy a ton of upgrades for it. These upgrades are very expensive, but just know that none of them are required for this guide, and again, you can always go back and buy them later when you have more cash. Alright, now that that's out of the way, how can we make money in this stage? Well, now that you have a high-end apartment, you're going to be able to host heists. There's 5 original heists that you're going to be able to do, which can earn you a ton of money if you do them right. Just a little disclaimer right off the bat, however, is that the ability to host a heist requires you to be level 12 or higher, but I'm assuming if you made it this far, you're already well above that, since leveling up when you first start out generally goes pretty quick. Also, if you're planning on playing solo most of the time, you're really not going to be able to take advantage of heists. You're definitely going to need friends to help you out, since the first heist requires 2 people, while the other 4 require 4 people, and that's always kind of the problem that I ran into. It's quite a bit harder than it sounds to complete heists using random matchmaking, and you're not going to be able to make as much money doing it that way anyway, but more on that in a little bit. Now, as you can see, you can get pretty damn rich off of just doing heists, but there's a couple of things you can do to maximize your profits even further. Firstly, just like contact missions, be sure to set the difficulty to all your setup missions and finales to hard. This will obviously increase the difficulty, especially considering you have death limits with these, but doing so will increase the payout by 25%. Second, take advantage of heist challenges and bonuses. The first time you complete each heist, you'll get a nice first-time completion bonus of $100,000, which is super nice and doesn't require any extra effort on your part. If you plan on doing all the heists in a row, you may be able to complete the All in Order challenge. All you have to do with this one is obviously complete each heist and set up missions in order. This basically means though that if you join someone else's heist and it's not the one that you need to do next, your progress will reset and you'll have to start over. If you can abstain from doing that though, the All in Order challenge will net you an extra $1 million once you complete it. The next challenge you can try out will also net you $1 million, and that's the Loyalty challenge. Now this one is going to be near impossible if you don't have 3 reliable friends that are willing to play every heist with you. The challenge requires you to complete every heist with the same exact players. If you have to rely on random matchmaking, there's pretty much no way you're going to be able to complete this one. And finally, the last challenge is for the absolutely insane people. It's a combination of the 2 previous ones with even more difficulty. For the Criminal Mastermind Challenge, you need to do all the heists in order with the same exact players, everything needs to be set on hard difficulty, and not a single person can die once in any of the setup missions or finales. Yeah, good fucking luck with that one, but if somehow you're able to pull it off, you'll get a $10 million bonus, which is absolutely crazy. I believe to this day that is still the most money you can make at a single time in GTA Online. So what if you can't do heists because you just don't have enough friends to complete them and random matchmaking isn't working out for you? Your best bet is to just keep registering as a VIP and doing the 3 missions I mentioned before. That's pretty much all I did in the entirety of this stage, since all my friends were too busy to do heists with me. So those are the main two things I'd recommend doing for money in this stage, but something that can really help you out doing heists or VIP missions or just any type of mission in the entire game is this bad boy, the Armored Kuruma. This will be unlocked for a reduced price of $525,000 after completing the first heist finale. It sounds like kind of a lot, but trust me, it's well worth it. This is probably still my favorite car in the game because it's just so damn practical. It's kind of been dubbed by the community as the go-to noob car since it makes you pretty much indestructible against anything that isn't an explosive, but if it works and it makes your time easier in GTA Online, I say who cares. Now, if you have the Duke of Death already, you're probably going to be asking yourself if you really even need to buy this car since it's kind of similar to what you already have. Well, my recommendation would be to still get it. It's quite a bit better than the Duke of Death in a couple of ways. Firstly, it's faster and can take turns a lot better, and instead of holding 2 people, you can hold 4, which equates to your entire heist crew or VIP organization. But the biggest reason is it just flat out has better protection. There's more armor on the windows, which makes it very hard to shoot through, and since NPCs typically don't use explosives, you're pretty much indestructible. Just watch out for griefers with RPGs. So you coughed up that million and bought an office. It doesn't seem like much on the surface other than just being a cool building to call your own, but this opens the doors to a ton of different money-making methods and a ton of great new abilities as a CEO. The goal of this stage is to get yourself a vehicle warehouse. Now this is not a garage, even though it sounds like that's what it would be, but it's a thing you need in order to start doing import and export missions, which we'll get into more detail about once we get to that point. The cheapest vehicle warehouse is $1.5 million, and that's the La Mesa Vehicle Warehouse. There's a couple of upgrades which are purely cosmetic, so I'd recommend holding off on that until you have more cash, because again, you can always buy it later. This stage is going to be pretty easy to explain because it's pretty much everything we've already been doing, but there's a key difference this time around. Since you're now able to register as a CEO via Secure Serve in the interaction menu, this essentially allows you to become a permanent VIP. No more cash requirement, no more 4-hour limit, and no more 12-hour cooldown, which is a total game changer. You can just grind the hell out of these missions for hours on end if that's your thing. It's what I do, and you can continue to make a ton of money. Now, obviously, everything we said before is still valid, so continue doing heists if that works best for you. So it seems kind of weird for me to recommend this here considering it costs more than a vehicle warehouse, but probably the best purchase you can ever make in GTA Online is getting yourself a buzzard. This thing costs $1.75 million, but in my opinion, it's worth every penny considering it's a compact absolute death machine. This thing is equipped with machine guns and unlimited homing rockets. It's one of the fastest vehicles in the game and can hold 3 of your closest friends. The Buzzard makes traveling around the map much faster than any land vehicle and is incredibly useful when doing VIP missions. You can use the homing rockets to kill enemies, which makes completing Headhunter and Hostile Takeover an absolute breeze, and obviously you'll be able to cut down your travel time in Sightseer. But the biggest reason I'm recommending the Buzzard in this stage is because once you purchase it, you can spawn it for free using the CEO Vehicles option in the interaction menu, which is my favorite thing about it. It's not like getting one of those Pegasus vehicles where you call it in and have to go retrieve it. It literally will spawn right next to you no matter where you are on the map. It's amazing, it really is. You finally got your vehicle warehouse and you're ready to start importing and exporting. But first, what are we aiming for in this stage? Well, at this point, you're probably going to be making a lot of money and no doubt will start being able to buy whatever it is that you want. So doing what I'm about to say is kind of optional, but what I'd recommend next is that you try and save up for a Doomsday Facility. These just came out fairly recently and it's the most fun I've had in a really long time in this game. The cheapest one is in Paleto Bay, which is super far from the city, so if everything else you own is there, it might be worth investing more for one that's closer. In any case, the Paleto Bay facility will set you back $1.25 million, so let's shoot for that. Like I said, you now have access to importing and exporting vehicles. The concept of this is kind of cool. It's definitely different than some of the stuff that we've done before, but you're going to notice that this is where things start to become kind of stressful with the amount of griefers in GTA Online. However, the reason I'm recommending investing in this instead of CEO crates or MC businesses is because it's much lower risk, doesn't take as much time to do, and it really favors the solo players this time around. I did an entire video that goes really in depth about import and export in the past, but I'll recap some of the stuff here just to get you started. First, these missions are required to be done in a public lobby, which is quite annoying because a lot of players will be trying to screw up your success. For that reason, I recommend you look up how to get yourself into a solo public session. There's many different methods for every platform this game exists on, and generally, they're not very hard to do. It will definitely save you frustration in the future if you figure out how to do this now. So first, let's talk about import missions. All you really have to do is go and steal a car from a specified location on the map and bring it back to your vehicle warehouse. You can have friends help you out with this, but no matter how many people are with you, you'll always only be able to steal one car at a time. There are 3 tiers of cars which you'll be able to steal: standard, mid-range, and top range. As you can see here, top range is going to give you the most potential to make the most money, so you'll mainly want to focus on that. However, it's kind of a luck of the draw type thing to which car you're going to get, unless of course you know how to manipulate the system. One thing that you can do is just completely fill your vehicle warehouse with as many standard and mid-range cars as it can hold and never sell them. Just keep them there, and doing so will force the game into giving you only top range cars to steal from here on out. I've not actually done this because it would take literally hours just to get enough cars for this to work, but this is an option if you want to try it out. Keep in mind though that with these import missions, you want the cars to stay intact as much as possible, because any damage they take you have to pay for when you take them back to your warehouse. So now it's time to export. There's a couple of sell options you'll get, but you should always sell to the specialist dealer. This will require you to deliver a car to a farther away location than the other two, but you'll get the highest profit. Again, just like the import missions, any damage your car takes during the transport you'll have to pay for, so keep it intact. Now, unlike import missions, you can actually sell multiple cars at a time with your friends. However, the interesting thing about this is that selling multiple cars at a time only saves you time and doesn't actually make you any more money. What I mean by that is selling one top range car you can get up to 80,000 like I said, but selling 3 at a time can only get up to 240,000. So there's really no disadvantage to playing solo other than it just takes longer, which is nice. There's no drawbacks. The reason importing and exporting really shines though is due to the fact that you really don't have to do a whole lot of work to get a decent amount of cash quickly. If you import a top range vehicle and immediately export it, you can make $80,000 in only 2 pretty easy missions, and that's why I like doing this. Again, VIP missions and heists are still viable options in this stage if you're looking for a little variety. In fact, they pretty much always will be. Interestingly enough, there really isn't anything I feel could help you out in this stage other than the vehicles I've already mentioned in previous stages, so if you skipped out on them there, you might want to consider them now. Otherwise, let's move on to the final stage. You made it this far and you bought a Doomsday Facility. Let me applaud you, good sir, because at this point you're probably pretty damn rich and got a decent level to show for it. But trust me, it only gets better from here. The Doomsday Facility unlocks 3 new heists that pay out even more than the old ones and offer some new concepts. Here's a quick breakdown of the 3 base payouts, but just like the old heists, you can make even more than that. Setting the difficulty to hard again will increase the payouts by 25%, but the bonuses and challenges are a bit different. The first time bonus of each act is an extra 50,000 this time around, and the All in Order challenge will give you an extra 500k instead of 1 million. But something that's kinda cool is that the Loyalty and Criminal Mastermind challenges are on a per heist basis this time around instead of getting the bonus after every heist is complete like before. The rules are the same for both, but here are the rewards you can expect to get. As you can see, there's a lot of money to be earned here. One thing to take into account is that these new heists have different player requirements than the original 5. All heists can now be done with a variable 2 to 4 players this time, which is awesome. I even noticed that some of the setup missions could be done solo, but one thing that's really cool about this is no matter how many people you're playing with, the heist payout is always the same. So playing with less people allows you to split the money less ways and ultimately make more. It's gonna take longer and probably be a lot more difficult with only 2 people rather than 4, but it may be worth playing this way. As you can see, you're going to be rich in no time and be able to invest in pretty much any vehicles that you want at this point, but I'll still give you a recommendation because a lot of people probably overlook this. The Insurgent pickup is a ridiculous amount of fun and it's one of my favorite vehicles in the game. It costs 1.35 million, but at this point that's probably chump change for you, right? This thing is an absolute monster. It holds up to 9 people, has a machine gun on the roof that a passenger can use while you drive, and is very hard to take down. In my experience, we've survived a couple of RPG hits with this thing and it's still held up. You're basically unstoppable. This is a Pegasus vehicle by default, meaning that you'll have to call it in and retrieve it whenever you want to use it, but there is a way to turn it into its variant, the Insurgent Pickup Custom, where you can then upgrade it and store it in any garage. To do this, you'll need to buy a mobile operations center, which requires a bunker, and then spend another 200,000 on the upgrade. This will easily set you back a few million, so it's probably not worth it to some, But if you take advantage of the missions that those two things unlock, it might be worth the investment. Well guys, at this point you've got all the tools and knowledge you need to get just about anything you could ever want in GTA Online. It'll take some time, but there's nothing you won't be able to obtain. You can try investing in some of the other businesses like a motorcycle club or aircraft hangar, and while I feel like those aren't as fun or profitable as the stuff I mentioned in this guide, if you're looking for some variety, it might be worth checking out. So that's it guys, that's everything I wanted to say. I really hope that all the information in this video was actually useful. I really wanted it to be as detailed as possible while still keeping the length as short as possible, but it appears I definitely failed on the latter. This video took an incredibly long time to make, much longer than anything I've ever made before, so if you learned anything at all from this video, I'd really appreciate it if you'd give it a like because it helps YouTubers out more than you could ever imagine. If you're new here and liked what you saw, feel free to subscribe for more stuff like this and even some stuff that's totally different from this, because in the next few weeks I'm going to be experimenting with some new types of content that have never been seen on this channel before.